So, you seen any good movies lately? Not much, just Sonic 3, one of the best cinematic masterpieces ever. Better than Cars? No, not better than Cars. But second best, in my opinion. And that's just an opinion, don't get mad. Yeah, I can see how Sonic 3 beat Mufasa in the theaters easily. It's a shame that it got, deemed uneligible for the the nominees. I'll put a picture right there. Yeah, that's just so not fair. Oh my goodness. Stop the music, don't get copyrighted. My god. On to the toy review. So what are we gonna do about these guys in our living room? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It is your boy John. Today, we'll be taking a look at the Sonic 3 4-pack. And my first view of these figures is that they're great. They look perfect to me, And by the way, have you seen the Sonic 3 movie yet? I know I did. Twice. It was so nice I had to see it twice. But yeah, I'm currently holding the camera with my hand because my desk is too small. Here's what it looks like if it was just standing, so that angle isn't that good, to be honest. So I have to hold it right here so I get much more of a wider angle. But first let's go ahead and take a look of how these figures overall, look up close. Starting off, we have the two main hedgehogs, Sonic and Shadow. So let's go ahead and take a look at the blue blur himself. And my overall view is that he looks great. The detailing is perfect, for Jack-specific figures, which aren't that... they're pretty good for Sonic figures. I'll put a picture of Sonic right there. See, and, this is one of their better looking ones. There's a little bit of a scuff right here when I unbox them, which, kind of bothers me. That's, not really, Jack-specific's fault. That's my fault for, kind of scuffing it, but really... that's my fault. I use scissors to undo it and it kind of scratched off. But that's not what you're here for. You're here for the review, right? So, yeah, we got some clear quills right here. So, which is for his little ability, the glowing thing. And, his eyes glow. I will show, both of them glowing in the dark later on. So, that's, I will save that for now. But, yeah. The detailing looks great. I'm loving how the shoes look. And I don't understand why people, get so angry about how the shoes look. Like, oh, they're not game accurate. I don't really care that they're game accurate. They look great. The sense of realism is also pretty good. Now let's get a look at the hot topic. And let's also get a look at, this is basically the fan favorite, Keanu Reeves. And overall, this is still a great figure. I'm loving that, the front profile, that menacing look. And yeah, overall, he looks great. Great design, great detail, and he also glows. Less easier to tell because it's red. But yeah, I mean, the shoes look good. They're a little more game accurate, I'd see. And some people still find to argue that they're not, but just yeah, it's a movie adaptation. Calm down. And it is one of the most successful movie adaptations of them all. Sonic the Hedgehog, both 1, 2, and 3, and the Knuckles series are pretty good. Which my favorite being the Knuckles series, because Knuckles is my favorite character for those who don't know. And if you've been an original channel watcher, you'd know that I've made Sonic plush videos on my channel before, a long time ago. Probably about 2 years ago. And I stopped doing those only because they didn't get many views. And I want to go ahead and say, first of all, Happy New Year. Well, I'm pretty sure I already said that. Maybe, I don't know. But thank you for over 100 subscribers, 170 now. I'll go and put a picture right here. But thank you for overall being there for me, for not abandoning me, not giving up whenever I decide not to upload and I get lazy. And thank you for at least giving me, watching my videos, even though sometimes some of you might have the attention span of a toddler. But that's not the point. The point is that you guys are here, and I thank you and I love you for that. So keep watching, and you guys are great, honestly. But anyways, that's mostly what Shadow has. Another little gripe I have, due to the the whole little feature right here. There's a little patch right here that has the batteries. Sonic just fell over. And overall, it doesn't really bother me too much, but it's a little bit of there. I didn't get the $15 figures, but I might get a certain 2-pack. Yeah, who knows? Maybe, potentially, possibly. But yeah, that's it for these two. Let's get on to the next two. And next up, we've got Tails.
Here, we've got a ring, and we've got Tails! Someone we have it. Oh my god! Jesus Christ!
Who's his first time, and then, yeah, so overall, Tails is pretty good, you know? He looks great, you know, the little angry little look, you know, he's like throwing up fists and stuff. I don't have the regular version of him, but, you know, this is the 4-pack, so I take what I can get. Now, you know, Tails looks pretty good, great movie accuracy, and I'm loving how the tails are articulated, you know, swivel action and articulation, you know, a hinge. And then there's also the more game accurate shoes, I'd say. Be loving that. And yeah, you know, perfect sculpt. There's a ball joint at the head, which is pretty good. We're not going over articulation yet. But yeah, I mean, not too bad of a Tails figure. You know, most Tails figures are just not necessarily bad. It's just that this, you know, Tails isn't really seen as a great character, you know, favorite character. To some people they might be, but he's not my favorite character. He's a great character, but not my favorite. But now we move on to the best for last, which is Knuckles. Unlike Sonic, you don't chuckle. I have no clue why that line made sense to whoever made that song. But hey, Knuckles is my favorite Sonic character ever. You know, ever since I saw him, I just absolutely loved the guy. Even in the Knuckles series, Idris Elba portrayed Knuckles perfectly. So yeah, but looking at the detail, Knuckles looks great. They really captured his essence, you know, the echidna warrior. A little bit of paint spillage right there. Not see if you can get it, but that little extended part right there doesn't bother me too much, but it was enough for me to mention it. You know, his head has no movement because of these dreads, but that's fine, I guess. And you know, his tail looks great. The Tims, they give him Tims, which is absolutely amazing. I'm loving how they gave him Tims. And you know, the boxing gloves, which, you know, really make it nice and game accurate. At least in this version, the ones in the movie actually seem more like boxing gloves. Put it right there. But yeah, I'm loving how he looks, how he feels. He's hefty too. He's the heaviest one of them all. Mostly because the Sonic and Shadow are hollow due to their, you know, the electricity part of it. But yeah, Knuckles is great. He looks great. He feels great. And yeah, overall, it's pretty good. So let's stop talking about how these figures look. And I'm just going to say that they don't come with anything, which, you know, it's a bummer. But, you know, that price range is a little bit difficult to deal with. And these guys were already enough for themselves. So let's get on to their articulation one by one. Well, I don't really mean one by one since Sonic and Shadow have the exact same articulation, so I'll just be going over Sonic's articulation, and you could guess the same for Shadow. Anyway, so starting at the head, we have a side to side, doesn't go all the way because of the electricity inside, but yeah, he looks up. There's a little bit of movement, but there's not any up movement, there's no down movement. There's some up movement right here. You know, his shoulder goes up that far. There is a shoulder swivel, which makes you go back and forth. There is a swivel at the bicep. There is a single jointed elbow. There's a swivel at the wrist, a hinge at the wrist, and a hinging finger articulation, which is pretty cool. I didn't expect them to do that, but you know, they can hold other accessories now. And there is leg spread is open that much. Leg can go forward that far, can go back that far. Swivel at the thigh, single jointed knee. Swivel, actually there's not really a swivel at the leg, but there is a hinge, and you can get an alright pivot for like a wide stance. Pretty much the same for Shadow, so I'm not going to go over his, but we're going to go over Tails, since his is pretty different, you know? And let's go over Tails. So ball joint at the head, so he can go a little round, basically a full 360. Looks up that much, looks down that much, side to side. There is a ball joint at here, right? A tiny little ball joint, and that's pretty cool, you know? They fit such a small ball joint, such a small figure, and you know, that's pretty cool. Arm moves up that far. It can up. Hold on. There you go. Arm moves up that far. It's a little bit tight, which is, you know, want to be careful. Don't want to break the figure, especially because it's on a butterfly joint, so I gotta be very careful. There is a single hinge at the elbow with a swivel at the elbow. There is a swivel at the wrist, a hinge at the wrist, and a hinge for the fingers. Same goes, basically same thing for the Sonic. There is no leg spread unless you twist the legs, like this, and that's pretty much it. But the leg can go forward that far, it can go back that far. There is a single knee bend, and a swivel at the knee. There is a hinge at the foot and a pretty decent pivot. Along with that, there's his tail articulation, which can swivel at the base right here. It can hinge up and down right here on both tails. And there is a swivel at the base of the main tail. Next up, best for last, Knuckles. His articulation is a little bit different from every single one of them. Now, his head articulation, there is a ball joint. If you look closely enough, there is a pretty big ball joint. It's just you can't get much movement out of it because of his dreads, but know that he can look up, none. He can look down, pretty much none. No movement at the head, basically. They would have probably never, made much of a difference if they actually had put no articulation in the head at all, but that's perfectly fine since it's Knuckles. Arm moves out that far, and if you look closely, there is a butterfly joint in there, so there is a pretty good, movement of the arm, just not too much since it's so deep in there. Anyways, but yeah, he has a swivel at the bicep, a single jointed elbow, a joint, hinge joint at the wrist, swivel at the wrist, and a large hinge joint at the fist. And now for the first time in this set, there is a, torso articulation. So he can arch back that far, he can crunch forward that far, swivel at the torso, leg spread is pretty good. Leg can go forward that far, leg can go back that far, single hinge joint at the knee, and single hinge at the foot, which is pretty limited to this sock right here, I'm guessing. But there is a okay pivot if you want a wider stance from Knuckles, and that's it. Now these figures look great. Personally, I would recommend these figures if you wanted to get all these figures, without spending $15 per. $15 not too bad of a price tag though. You're getting every figure, if you want to get every figure by themselves. But this set's like a little over $50, which is a little bit pricey just for 4 figures. But hey, what you gonna do when they're coming for you? Scalpers and whatnot. So store prices aren't that bad, to be honest. But that doesn't mean you can't get some pretty good poses out of these guys. But enough of how they look posed up, and let's get on to their size comparison time. Now a little bit more of the set showing, but here they are next to my last review, the Bootleg Storm Collectibles Mike Tyson. Here they are next to the Figma Doomslayer. Here they are next to the SH Figure Arts Iron Man Mark 6. Here they are next to my Jazzwares Modern Sonic figure, which, taking a closer look, comparing the two Sonics, you can see the big difference that happens between, generations, and, it's pretty drastic, This one's quills being really long, this one being really short, his nose being extremely longer, less lengthier limbs, more fur, and less fur, due to the model. Shoes definitely being a little bit bigger, which is why I've seen that they've definitely lessened. The big buckle isn't there, but regardless, it's still Sonic. So regardless of what you think, it's still Sonic. Here they are next to my obscure Sonic OC that I made 5 years ago. Hey, I'm not obscure. Well, you've only been featured on this channel a few times, and that's back when there was a Plus channel. And besides, Knuckles is better than you. Now you listen here. But anyways, let's get on to the next one. And of course, here they are next to Lightning McQueen. Overall, these figures are pretty good. Now, would I recommend them? Yeah, of course. These are great. If you wanted to get the 4-pack really simpler and much more easier. So yeah, these figures are pretty good. Great articulation, great detail, and great functions. And I still have promise you one more thing. Okay, so lights off. Now if I feel around here, boom, there are the glowing lights. I will put a epilepsy warning for those who do have epilepsy, and I don't want to give anyone seizures. So yeah, but they look great. They look really cool. They again. But yeah, the quills in the back glowing. Sonic's a lot more vibrant, as you can see, compared to that of Shadow. But overall, the eyes look great. You know, the detail comes in. You got the both Sonic versus Shadow, and they only glow for a few seconds, and they just go back to dark. But let's look at Shadows by himself. Looks really cool. I think, you know, I'd say one of the eyes goes a little more than the other. It might be a little bit wiring issue, but yeah, it looks really good. Really nice. Really vibrant. Really menacing overall. And then there's Sonic, which lights up the entire area because of his blue and the blue plastic. And you know, you can see, but you know, it kind of shows like his power. You know, he's like really powerful. The eyes glow up perfectly. He looks really good as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Overall, the figures are pretty good. And if you want a link to these figures, I'll put them in the description, like I've said before. And that's it. So look good, stay safe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.